I'm Shahidul Alam. I'm a photographer, writer, curator, activist based in Dhaka, Bangladesh. I've been very conscious of the fact that perceptions of countries like mine have largely been created by photography, but generally by visiting photographers. Their take on our culture, on our country, on our society generally has been very narrow, very blinkered, and generally following a particular stereotype. So our movement really was to try and challenge that. For us to use photography became particularly important because in a country where textual literacy is relatively low, the images have a far greater reach, but also I was very conscious of the extreme power of photography being used by corporations in propaganda, and the fact that our minds were being shaped using a language which we'd never been trained to understand or decipher. Let's say I were taking a photograph of a villager in Bangladesh. The person who would know most about the situation I was recording would be the villager. That would be the person the weakest in the power chain and would presumably have zero say in how the story was told. If there was a picture editor at New York Times here commissioning the work, the most powerful person would be the person in New York, who would be probably the person least knowledgeable about it. So you've got this contradiction where the people who are the farthest removed, who know the least, are the people in the maximum situation of power, and the people whose story it is have zero say in how the story is told. So our idea really was to invert it and create a mechanism where the people themselves, local photographers were telling their stories, and telling stories in a way which involved the public, which allowed space, which was sensitive to the local cultures, and therefore the storytelling was much more about the people involved in the story as opposed to an external force. Our work wasn't being shown in other places because the conventional spaces were scared of the type of content that we had, so we built our own gallery to show work that was controversial. We then set up a school of photography, which now is considered by many to be amongst the finest in the world, and our photographers are out there winning awards all over the world. We've also set up the Bangladesh Human Rights Network. It was interesting that the Human Rights Network was set up, it's called BanglaRideNet, on the 27th of February 2001. On the 28th of February 2001, the government closed down all our telephone lines. And it took us 2.5 years to get our phone lines back, but we continued operating, and they still haven't worked out how we did it. We started training women photographers, we started training working class children, and now we've just embarked upon a program where we take on rural journalists and citizen journalists. So over the next 5 years, we have a plan where we will work in all 64 districts of Bangladesh, and these are people who will be reporting using iPhones. We're currently training them on using the iPhone, editing it using the iPhone, but then they will be people doing grassroots reporting live from the field. As an activist in the streets trying to bring down General Irshad, and one of the things that happened at the end, we put together a show, and over a period of 3 days, we had approximately 400,000 people coming to see that exhibition. We had near riots because people were hungry for those images. I think it's worth recognizing that there is a silent revolution taking place. The fact that out there, thousands of miles away, in a country like Bangladesh, there are people working with cameras who are actually doing phenomenal things. It's a world that is not known about.